excited to be here for the 2024 EdTech Summit. Let me see my show of hands. Please give yourselves a round of applause for making it.
This morning, I actually was reflecting on that and thinking about, what have we done in the last year? The last thing we want to do as EdTech East Africa is just to have events that are nice and then don't move anywhere. And truly, this event is not just meant to be a two-day gathering where we say hello and high-five each other, but then we go back to working in the same ways that we did before. And so we think about this as a catalytic moment, a way for us to take stock of what we've done and to think about what we need to continue to do more effectively together as an ecosystem to drive our work forward.
It is a privilege to be with you today as we delve into the future of Kenya's education, powered by data and technology.
Policy should be influenced highly by evidence. When you're formulating policy, you first of all go out and find status and generate adequate evidence so that you actually address the real problem.
When we began our sandbox with them in Kenya, we began with about 15 schools because we wanted to understand what is this technology, how well does the teacher understand it, how well does the technology understand the learners. Some of these kinks that you can only iron out when you begin to do small experiments and then grow it over time.
All of this is an effort from Mastercard Foundation in supporting our Young Africa Works goal of 2030, in which we are planning to enable 30 million young people in Africa.
As you can see, there's a lot happening around this space, and of course, as we transition to the rest of the day, we are going to be talking now again about how evidence is being used on the grounds of
So together I want us to say this as I finish off together. We can bring a change to young people. We can bring a change to young people using EdTech. Thank you so much, and may you all be blessed.
30 early childhood public schools. So when you think about the government resources and divide them the ratio of our children, you find that those resources are not adequate. Nairobi has got the highest number of up-based schools. Nairobi has got the highest number of private schools. Yet, not all Nairobi children have access to education because the numbers are equally very high. All the teachers, we have about 1,300 early childhood teachers, yet they are not enough to be able to handle the numbers of learners who come to our schools. So when we look at the ratio of the resources, both human and physical resources, we still find that there is a great challenge. In addition to that, Nairobi has got very unique challenges. Now, this comes to content development. When we look at what we have, some things we have never even thought about. Think about the physical features in Nairobi, geographical features. Think what is the closest river you see in Nairobi? What's the closest mountain? Yet, they are part of what our learners should learn. How do they understand the concept of a river? How do they understand the concept of the ocean? So when you're developing content, we would like content that is able to speak to our learners, that they can be able to identify and understand these features that are not within Nairobi. So that is in terms of content creation. There was another story, an assignment that was given to our learners. And one of the assignment is that let your child come dressed like their great-grandparent. And in Nairobi, you find that the child lives in Kasarani sub-county. The grandparent lives in Embakasi sub-county. The great-grandparent lives in Westland sub-county. So they will come dressed like a modern parent. Does that bring out the cultural aspect? So the content we want to bring should give real-time issues to our children, should be able to help the children. When we are talking about a certain community, they can be able to relate with the communities. In Nairobi is where you have the highest level of intermarriages. So the children will tell you, my mother is Kalenjini, my father is from Kisumu. My grandmother was from America, and my great or whatever is from Uganda. Where does this child belong? I hope you're getting the concept. So when we are thinking about education and the challenges and resilience in teaching and learning, teachers and both the learners encounter very unique challenges that more often than not are not well thought about. So when we are thinking about these, think about developing platforms and apps that will help learning experiences and bring them to the level of the child. Nairobi also have very unique challenges in the aspect of the learners who are coming to school. You find that the teachers we have been teaching for about 20 years, 15 years. But the learners who are coming in schools are of different generations. They had the millennials, they have the Gen Z, now they are having the alphas. These are children who come to school with technology. They have already the skills. Do the teachers have an equal understanding of the technology skills of the learners? So you find this brings a challenge both to the teacher and to the learners as well. We may, as in Nairobi, have got access to technology. It is not the case. Some have, others have no idea of what. Currently, everybody is talking about mental health issues. We are talking about emotional intelligence, yet we are giving our teachers a lot of work. They are the parents, the nurses, the doctors, the cooks, and everything. And they end up being the parents. Especially in Nairobi, where we say teachers or parents suffer from TB. In this case, too busy. So the teachers are the parents and for these children. So we need to have systems where teachers, how can teachers and both learners come together with people of a like mind? Actually, we did coding for kids, and to our surprise is that you find that children as early as 6 years are able to develop something. This is about talent, about exposure, about creativity. Are we able to bring these children together despite their geographical location? We're also looking at another aspect where we want to see that the teachers and the learners that we have, sorry, that has disappeared from my mind. Yeah, I think I'll get to it. So it has disappeared, but I'll make sure I mention it.
All right.
So those are some of the challenges we're facing, and we want to see that AI, technology, EdTech is brought into the schools to be able to lead these children, to help them become the best version of themselves and develop their thought patterns. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so, did I hear a voice? Oh, so you've had the challenges. So if you're a developer, you're a researcher, you're a teacher, you have contexts now as you're sitting here. So the solution should really be towards making it work. You know, you can have a solution that doesn't really work, but we want solutions that work. When we were having all these conversations and listening to some of these barriers to learning, we had also opportunity to flip it and think about what is successful. We've had collective action work ongoing for the past year and something, maybe 14, 16 months there, looking at what these challenges are, looking at what the communities are doing under different pillars: foundational learning, skills for the future, equity and inclusion, supporting the capacity of leaders of learning, our teachers, our parents, and then looking at what our policies say and evidence what is out there and what the digital infrastructure is. So the conversations that we were having with all of these people from across the nation were under that umbrella. There are some positives. There are many positives that have come out of this, and I'll just do a very quick share as I wait for you to type in your questions so that we can respond. The one thing that I got out of this, a very major key takeaway, is that there's a lot of good things happening on the ground. A lot. Partners are collaborating on the ground and implementing different programs that are working. What we would like to do is to invite more and more of you into the community, EdTech Baraza, where we have these conversations and opportunities to reach out to each other and learn from each other, share knowledge. Because those successful programs, some are not being heard of. They're not being elevated because you're alone, you're working with 3 schools, 5 schools, so nobody really knows what you are doing out there or where you are at. So please come into the community so that we can celebrate the work that you are doing. The other thing I found about collective action is that on average, the mindset is there. The government has already set the tone by having a priority around digital literacy. So people are aware they are supposed to be digitally literate. They are using low-tech solutions to solve some of those problems. WhatsApp is very popular. In fact, we have people sitting in this room whom I know are actually using WhatsApp for professional development of teachers. Teachers take videos and then send them, and they get graded, and the assessor has a conversation with that teacher, and that way they can support professional development even in remote areas without necessarily having to go through that, those conversations where you go to a school and the teacher says, we have never seen the curriculum support officer for the last 2 years. There's a lot that's going on, and that was a major key takeaway for me. The partnership aspect, I don't think I can overemphasize that, because people are working together to resolve problems that are local. And I think another takeaway for me is these organizations that are on the ground are doing a lot of co-creation and co-design, which means that the solutions that they come up with, even if they're simple solutions, they are the right solutions for that community, because the community has been involved in creating a solution for the problem. I think we've had lots of opportunities now to share information with people, to bring people on board. People know where to go, but we continue to invite people into the fold so that they can benefit from it. Before we go to those questions that I can see there, we have a few minutes left, I think I would like to ask Abdullahi to just share with us very quickly, and maybe Elizabeth, you can add a comment after that. How do we work with government? You've been working with the Frontier Council and doing lots of work in 10 counties. How do we work with our counties so that the work is impactful?
Okay, thank you so much. The Frontier Counties Development Council is a collaborative fora for 10 member counties, starting from Lamu through Tana River, the northeastern counties of Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera, the northwest of Marsabit, Cielo, and we go towards Samburu, Turkana, and West Pokot. Work together so as to steer socio-economic development and foster cohesion and working together. As you may be aware, some of these counties are pastoralist counties. They normally have resource-based conflicts. So sometimes we also manage those kind of issues. So through this collaborative approach, we're able to steer collaboration between the counties, collaboration with the national government, collaboration with most of the donors of this country. We work with the UN, USAID, World Bank. In fact, we are third monitor for the World Bank Highway Road Project. We're also a third monitor and a partner in all the projects done by World Bank in the Northeast Development Initiative, what they call the NEDI, including the school quality improvement project, the secondary education quality improvement project in the Ministry of Education. Bring issues of discussion from the counties. What we see is cutting across the counties, we escalate them so that we can at least have partners coming on board and supporting. Where we issues good practices coming up, we replicate. We see possibilities of anchoring them in the strategic plans of the counties. You are aware, funding is preceded by planning. If we do not anchor our programs in the county integrated development plans, and we do not steer the national government to at least put in the national education strategies, it becomes a problem. Through these initiatives, we work with those digital literacy organizations as private sectors we work with, like the Raspberry Pi Foundation, the EIDU, Aga Khan is also doing some work. We have others are launched. Why we do this is just to make sure we support and guide organizations and practitioners that are in the space, so that as you want to influence educational issues with digital education and technology in mind, you do not operate, you just get a guided document that can really give you the data that you require so as to make sure these things work well. We normally have a policy advocacy fora. For instance, at the end of November, 28th November, we will have the Pastoralist Leadership Summit in Wajir, where the 15 pastoralist counties from Kajiado, Narok, Laikipia, the 10 FCDC counties will be converging in Wajir. And we are thinking about 1068. We have an engagement with the governors, and every sector will bring its programs so that the governors can also appreciate what we are doing. The same way with the county assemblies. Maybe I should stop at that.
I think just before Elizabeth gives us a comment, you're hearing the opportunities are there. So if you didn't know about them, you've heard of several of the ones that you can plug into in order to be much more successful with the programs that you're implementing. We'll take a quick comment from Elizabeth, and then I thought I could read. I can't. Jen will read the questions for me. All right, Elizabeth?
Yes. Working with the county can be easy and can be challenging. And just to demystify this is that what I would advise anybody who is interested in working with the county, we are open. Yes, we are, because there is a public-private partnership. The challenge comes in here when people don't know exactly what they want. So you come to the county, but your goal is not very clear. So you will end up moving from one department to another. So your goal must be clear. Then secondly, know the department you want to work with or the sector. Nairobi County has got 10 sectors and about 33 subsectors. So once you know what exactly you want, then you will be directed to the right office. Also, we have ground offices. That's at every sub-county. There is a sub-county officer. You can start from there. The ward office at every ward have 89 wards, 17 sub-counties. sub-counties, yes, at nearest to you. Then, if there is need, you can visit us at City Hall offices for other information. Now, for when it comes to partnership, something that many people don't have an understanding is how the government works. The government works with a document, a 5-year document called County Integrated Development Plan. And it is at the county website. So when you look at it, will be able to guide you the programs that the county has planned for the next 5 years, and then you can see how you plug in. We also, from there, we have an annual development plan. And the county government years runs from 1st July to June 31st the following year. So if you are coming in January and you want to partner, it becomes quite of a challenge because it is the middle of the financial year. Whatever project you bring on board cannot be onboarded at that time. So understand how the government works so that you also know when to plug in terms of time.
I am compelled to say EdTech East Africa is an ecosystem builder. We are highlighting the data points of the ecosystem that you need to touch in order for your things to move forward and to reduce the levels of frustration. Jen.
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you again to everybody here so far. Just in the interest of time, we're just going to take 2 questions. There are many that you guys have submitted, so we will continue the conversation online afterwards and be sharing these questions online. But I just want to take 2. One that was kind of upvoted by a number of people, but basically for each of your regions, how are we doing in terms of the EdTech startup ecosystem in your region, and what needs to be done to strengthen innovation in EdTech in your region? And then the second one is, with so much diversity and needs for your learners, your families, your communities, how do we ensure that we're creating a consistent quality outcome for everyone? And what role can technology play in that? Do the questions make sense, I hope?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. All right, so maybe it's been, Samuel, we can start with you on this side and we kind of go across, yeah?
Mm-hmm. How we do and what's been done. How do you balance?
Thank you. The first question is on...
basically the strength of the EdTech ecosystem in your region and what needs to be done to strengthen it.
So our culture as Africans, our culture is more oral. Although there is been a consistent adaptation of mobile technology, and at least every household there is a smartphone from the region where I come from. And we have tried this specifically with creating communities of practice for teachers in WhatsApp, a community of teachers with parents in WhatsApp, and this has helped us to be able to introduce different strategies of how to handle and responsibly use technology, how to be able to access some of these resources to ensure that parents or the teachers have a good idea of what they're working with before they are introduced to the children. And to ensure that the children are not the ones who just access this technology without understanding what they need to do with them. So oftentimes in our conversations we realize that most of the parent-child interaction is initiated by the children and not the parents. And in such cases, the children just need access to the devices, and they go straight to YouTube, for example. They search videos, and they watch without the parent understanding what they watch. But the parent is only able to understand once the child comes back with the questions that the parent does not understand where they come from. And so it begins to become more complicated when it is not initiated by the parent. So these communities of practice also have parents who share best practices of how they can they are able to bring in more culturally more culturally relevant ways of teaching, setting aside time for quality conversation with their children, and making sure that these conversations are able to be taken up by even teachers who are at schools.
All right, Paul, how is the EdTech community or EdTech ecosystem doing in Mombasa or representing Coast?
Okay, before I answer that again, I would like to pose another question to my audience. Mtoto mleavyo?
Ndivyo akuavyo.
This was specifically for Jennifer, but enter to school first of all to train them. You realize that they need sanitary pads, they need food, they need, so you end up focusing on something else before you really go to education. That one has made actually the players in EdTech actually be very, very few, just for our understanding, and also for us innovators in the room to start thinking about maybe how we are able to download food or maybe something close to that. Then, now, what we are doing or within the entire ecosystem is on the curriculum development and integration, especially in schools, so that we are able just to equip from the teacher's side as much as you really like to go to access the learner. And this is for sustainability, and also if you really like to make, to get the entire concept of what is happening. Then also on the skills, industry relevant skills. It is a different environment, different market that not just any skill is able to fit the entire community. Remember, this is a community that has been there for a longer time believing that fishing is the way to go. Any other thing is just secondary, it is foreign, and it has come to maybe destroy the culture. So for you to be able to curate something within the locals, the natives, to be able to understand, you end up facing the stereotyping of maybe you have a different intention within the entire ecosystem. Now, what we're also doing there, apart from just the partnership with the academia and the industries, is we are also having different innovative competitions or innovative activities like hackathons within the communities, and also to focus on just different challenges that they are facing, just to be very intentional in the solutions and how we are working also along with them. Now, you see, we are having like the upper coast, which has a bit people who are able to access technology or resources slightly, and then we're having now the lower cost that maybe don't access at all. We are talking about also like the bit rich Swahilis and Arabs kidogo, that way. Now you get, there is when they'll be telling you, Uncle yangu yuko Dubai. Eh? Now, with that, we are getting a lot of community.
Uncle yangu yuko Dubai.
Yeah.
Those who didn't hear.
Okay, you did not a good number of community that I would really also enter in the room to also think about that, and we explore more, but we are trying also to do whatever we can do. Thank you so much.
Elizabeth and Abdullahi, I'll have to rush you a little bit. If you could just give us, say, a 1-minute spot check on how EdTech is doing. I think we will only have time for that one question. In the process of answering, I'm hearing a lot of responses to other queries. So if you could just be quick, and then I can summarize and we can...
Okay, so for us, EdTech is doing a lot in the community. However, it is not enough because our numbers are big. Government works for everybody, irrespective of who or where you are. And that's why at times we find people saying that government is slow. But for government, we have to think of that last person who does not have what everybody else has. So when we are thinking about all those things, now that I've been given a minute, I don't know what to say in a minute. So I'll just highlight, yeah? So the things that we need to think about are things that are already being done, but they are not adequate. We have partners who have come on the ground, they have given internet, but they have given to 10 schools. We have 230 schools. That is not adequate. We require devices. Partners come to school, they give 30 devices. A school has got a population of 3,000 learners. So even the sharing becomes a challenge. So all these things in terms of also teacher capacity development, Somebody will come to a workshop for 1 week for 30 teachers. A school has got 50 teachers. And you can imagine there is the whole CBC. So there is a lot to be done. It is not done, so there is a gap. We want content for teachers, we need content for learners, we need access in terms of devices. There are schools that even, something I just want to bring to your attention is that probably right now in this forum, if I tell you give 20 shillings for data bundles, you'll be like, what is that? There are children who are struggling between putting 20 shillings just to get a meal for the day. So you can imagine the last thing in their mind is anything to do with data bundles. In some areas in this country, that's how bad it is. So let's not just think about far and wide, Wajir and wherever. Visit Nairobi, let me use Kiswahili, vaa ngoma, tembea. Now you will know what happens in Nairobi. But as long as you're driving, there's so much that we are missing out on the reality on the ground.
We are one of the partners in the World Bank project. It is doing a lot in terms of connecting schools to electricity. We have of late a project called TRINC, Tackling Resource Inequalities in North Kenya, under the Equalization Fund. You are aware of the Equalization Fund in the Constitution, which is still a enrich. It has not gone to fruition. We are struggling so hard to make sure that is also activated. And the 20 years of lack of active work should be compensated, and we will be using some of that for these activities. We are also partnering with a lot of organizations on EdTech solutions, including the RBF, EIDU, and there's a very robust program of FCDU, which we normally call the Inspire Project. We are very excited as FCDC with the launch of the EdTech Hub within the Education Development Partners Coordination Group. We are seated in that, and we know with the FCDU Inspire program and this other one, we will have the opportunity to upscale and see how these issues can be taken to another level. There are many issues that are happening, and I will just mention, we sit in the UN, leaving no one behind sounding board, as representatives from the ASAL counties, to make sure some of these issues can be at least rationalized and we can have opportunities for the frontier counties. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. If I can summarize for all of us, it's very clear there's a lot that is being done, quite a bit, but there is a lot more that needs to be done. We have, to an extent, when I listen to all of the regions, the silo effect, which we need to remove. We need to be very deliberate in how we are designing, planning, financing this program. We need to make sure that we are actually being inclusive and not exclusive. I recently attended an event where we were told that sometimes our planning creates exclusion instead of inclusion. And so, looking at the work that each of these panelists is doing at county level, there's plenty more that can be done, and obviously calling on support from ourselves, forming the different partnerships that are required to move the needle along, inviting you into the community to make sure that you have a sounding board for your ideas, for the opportunities that come by. Call to action again. There's a much more targeted approach from what I can hear from the panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the panelists for taking the time to sit with us. Please let's continue the conversation online, because we set the agenda for the next year's convening through conversations such as these, through the feedback that you give us online, through the questions that you ask us. Then we have something concrete to work with. Thank you very much. I will hand back to our MC. Okay, she has remembered. Let us give her a chance. It's actually important.
Actually, I'll be brief. It's about assistive devices. Let's think of the children with special needs.
Thank you very much.
All right. I appreciate them. You can do it better. All right. Actually, you are in Karen, where even the climate changes, where there is no traffic.
The needs are, so again, in the back of your mind, just be thinking about, what does this mean for the next 10 years? What do we need to be doing differently? What do we need to be doing collectively to be able to address some of these challenges? Now, we get a chance to hear directly from the stakeholders that we're all here to serve. So, we're going to start with our parents first. And as I mentioned earlier, we partnered with Akili Network to reach out to parents to understand directly from them what their experiences were with EdTech, what their challenges were, and what their aspirations are for the future of how technology will be a part of the learning experience that they have with their young people. So I'm going to invite Eddie to come up. Eddie Olang from Akili Network is going to kick us off and sharing some of that information.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. So I'll start off with a very short story. It's not sad, but a short story about myself. So what we were researching was parent feedback. And when I was a kid, probably before I even got to 10, one of the earliest memories I remember of myself was, it might shock you, it might not. I was a chronic stammerer. I couldn't finish a sentence. And what I remember at this point in terms of what helped me overcome it, the most powerful tool was a parent, my mom, who was a teacher. I don't think her being a teacher was why she was able to help me, but just the fact that she guided me through that process. But it just shows the power that the parents have in terms of helping to shape the future of their children, not just through EdTech, but with that, I don't know what stammering is classified as, but yeah, through that process. So if anyone has kids who stammer, or they stammer themselves, ask me. I've got a few proven techniques, and yeah, I'll help you. So, as Akili Kids, first I'll give a small brief on who we are as Akili Kids. There's often a confusion between Akili and me, Ubongo, and Akili Kids TV. So just to qualify, we're not the same, but they are our amazing partners, our content partners, and form a very huge part of our content. But we are a 24-hour children's TV station, broadcasting free-to-air and on all pay TV platforms. So we're not enemies. They're our amazing partners, but they are content and we are a TV show. And we are a TV station. So I don't know who's controlling this. Maybe skip. Stop there. Back. No, back. There. Hey. There. So how did we do it? So I think I'll start by saying, so we have a TV station, and on the TV station, our main feedback mechanism using the TV station is SMS. So we have about 300,000 people in our SMS database. Our other tool for feedback is social media, and specifically Facebook. Our other tool that we use is our events. We have events, our quarterly events. But for this specific study, what we used was Facebook. And we have a Facebook group. we actually have our Facebook page, which has about 120,000 parents. Why we use Facebook is because Facebook is specific to parents. When you look at our SMS line, you'll get some kids that SMS, so we can't control where we get the feedback from. When you look at Facebook, it's specific to the parents, so we can narrow out and get the feedback from them specifically. So our Facebook group, our Facebook page has about 120,000, but we have a smaller group that has about 20,000, and that's what we use for our studies. So for this specific research, we used the smaller group. So we can move. So we asked 3 questions in 3 different posts. What I'll share is a basic feedback. And I will not read the Kiswahili, but we communicate with our Facebook audience, primarily in Kiswahili or Sheng. And this first question was asking what apps, okay, who's controlling? Yeah, we're asking what apps are being used within the household. And some of the responses we received was Mwalimu Plus, Jollyphonics, Duolingo, Booksmart, which I think is the reading one, Khan Academy, which I didn't even know about. So basically, we did get some good feedback on that question. Next question. So looking at, where is TV an EdTech platform? It is, yeah? So we asked what our parents learn from Akili Kids TV. Of course, this naturally had the most responses. And the interesting thing about our TV station is we never talk about what we expect our parents to learn or what is going to come out of the different content pieces. But our parents are very specific about what their kids are learning. They know what they're learning. So the responses were quite amazing. And from the different shows, because our content is all education-based. Everything we have on the station is education-based, though it's supplemental. So the feedback was quite amazing from the different shows we have. And yeah, we have an impact study as well that shows that parents are very clearly aware about what their kids are learning from each and every piece of content. Next question. So this was, I think, the question that had very interesting response. And this question was basically around, do parents give their children their phones to do their homework? Or do they use phones to do their homework? And the key thing that came out of this is kids tend to get a bit mischievous when they're left with their phones. So there's TikTok there, there's playing games, ChatGPT. So essentially what was coming out of this is children can't be left with their phones unsupervised, you know. So some did mention there's some learning that happens, but yeah, it's a slippery slope. Next slide. So some of the outcomes we received from the short study we did was 66% of parents prefer EdTech solutions compared to traditional learning methods. So our take was those that were exposed and those that were aware about the EdTech platforms had a significant amount of preference to using them. So the key take here was that there should be more exposure to EdTech platforms for these parents because those that use them prefer to use them than the alternative. And this report, I will share it. It's extensive. I will share it. No, there was something else, yes. My good friend, can my friend come to the side? Sorry. So, thank you. So, I'll just talk about some of the conclusions we got. So, there seems to be understanding of what EdTech is, because we didn't want to assume that our parents understand what EdTech is. We use it here freely, but is it something that is understood out there? So there seems to be an understanding. Majority of those that used EdTech platforms agree that it makes their lives easier. As you saw, the 66%. As I said, children need supervision when using EdTech platforms because they tend to get mischievous. More awareness is needed among parents. And the research we did was over a short period. We intend to do it for longer so we can get better results and improve the effectiveness of learning at home and adoption of EdTech platforms. So it's continuous. The platform is open. And I think more importantly, we are speaking from Akili Kids TV who have the product, but I think the most important part is the parent. And we are fortunate enough to have a parent here today. If I get it right, the name is Davin. I'll invite him to kind of give his experience and some of the learning that happens within his household with his children. So, yeah, that's it from me. I'll invite Davin.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. Hamjambo. Hi, everyone. I'm Davin Mwangi. And I would say it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm here courtesy of Akili Network and as a parent. But beside being a parent, I'm an outreach worker, I'm a recovery coach, and I'm a counselor. I would say when you talk of EdTech, my first interpretation was education and technology. But when it comes to technology, I will take you back to 2020, when COVID hit. When COVID hit, also I had my own COVID, a drift in my own personal life and my relationship. But when it came, there was curfew. So you couldn't go out and do your own things. The only thing you could have done is stay at home. With who? With your children. Since I had a drift with mine, and I was visiting, so COVID made sure that when it is past 8 something, I cannot leave that house. There was no other channel that you could use. There was no other channel, medium that you could use as a family to share together, because family is sharing. So Akili Kid came in, and once we started watching the cartoons, the 2 small episodes, Ubongo Kids, the teaching, I learned that, kumbe, cartoons are not only for kids. Hata sisi tuna enjoy pia. The time